Hi, it's Bren Murphy at thepersonalcoach.com.au. Just sharing a key element that came up in a coaching session this morning with a client, and it was about the idea of failing and failing quickly. And that's where, in a nutshell, when things aren't going well, we tend to analyse and delay and procrastinate, and sort of, if we're really emotionally attached to the project or the event, we can sort of find ways to justify keeping it alive or delaying, sort of calling it off or ending it. And this means we persist with it far too long, and we miss other opportunities, or we exhaust ourselves with the process of trying to pump up sort of the old tyres when they're definitely sort of way past their use by date. So what I'm talking about is when you're on a project or on a journey or in a business relationship or a personal relationship, and it's reached a certain point of no return, you have to be able to listen to your intuition and hear what stage you're at. It's really easy when you're sort of emotionally involved to think that persistence, being stubborn and sticking by, and sort of to think you can breathe some life into an old project. But in just the same way, one of the great assets of startup companies that really succeed and succeed well is that they're able to recognize startups that aren't quite right, and try to reimagine them or evolve them. But if they're still not firing, they abandon the project and move on to a new project. And that's just a massive way to keep forward momentum and not miss any opportunities. I know myself, with my business experience, I've had projects that just haven't been right and they haven't fired. And in hindsight, I know I persisted with them, thinking I was being persistent and dogged and stubborn and stoic and just pursuing them and putting more energy and more heart and more funds and more marketing and more sales into it, when there was a fundamental missing point or flaw with it, and no amount of that sort of energy could have brought it to life. And in hindsight, knowing, if I'd known that, I'd been able to, if I'd let my intuition reveal that to me sooner, I could have abandoned the project and moved on to what later was a successful project much sooner. So sometimes we tend to persist with failures and a struggle, thinking that is where we deserve to be at, as if struggle is normal, or it's if you have to pay your dues for a certain point before you're allowed to be successful. And I had this limiting belief where I thought I had to struggle be a struggling writer, for example, before I would allow myself to be successful or allow myself to enjoy certain things that I saw as being success. So again, that's something to be aware of, one is not to persist when an object has failed or a project has failed, and number two is to not see struggle as something that is inherently of merit, because struggle can be just as bad and just as negative as any other sort of activity. Struggle isn't good in and of itself, and it can be a real limiting belief, thinking that you have to struggle or there has to be a period of struggle before success. Sometimes things can come easily if you're working to your strengths, and that's what we're all about here at thepersonalcoach.com.au, and I'd love to help you explore that further. Visit my website, subscribe to the email list, and follow for more information. Thanks a lot. It's Bren Murphy.